Jimmie Johnson won 5 straight championships under one format. Now that same format is coming back, and he believes it could be a game changer for teams that have been struggling to find success. But the bombshell, Ryan Blaney, the 2023 champion, just said we could see someone dominate like Johnson did all over again. Let's start with the 7-time champion himself. Johnson is looking at this format change through a very specific lens. He's not just a former driver anymore. He's a team owner now, and Legacy Motor Club has been struggling. I mean really struggling. His full-time drivers, Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek, haven't secured a single win since he became an owner. Neither of them has finished better than 24th in the final standings. That's tough to watch when you're used to winning championships. But here's where it gets interesting. Johnson actually sees this new chase format as a potential blessing in disguise for his team. Think about it. Under the old playoff system, teams like Legacy Motor Club felt pressured to take huge risks. They had to go for broke because one win could punch their ticket to the playoffs, regardless of where they sat in points. That desperation led to aggressive moves, crashes, and ultimately more disappointment. Johnson believes the chase format will change that mindset completely. His drivers won't need to gamble anymore. They can focus on logging solid finishes week after week, building consistency instead of swinging for the fences every single race. For a young organization like Legacy Motor Club that's still finding its footing, that could make all the difference. It's about building a culture of steady improvement rather than chasing that one miraculous win. The team owner in Johnson really appreciates what Nascar is trying to do here. He called them brave for making such a big decision, and he's not wrong. NASCAR faced pressure from all sides. Some fans wanted a complete return to the full season points format. Others liked the playoff excitement. NASCAR decided to meet somewhere in the middle, and Johnson thinks they got it right. He talked about how this format rewards consistency and feels closer to what the sport was originally about. Coming from someone who dominated under this exact system, that carries weight. Johnson knows what it takes to excel in a format that values running well every single week for 10 straight races. During his legendary run from 2006 to 2010, when he won 5 consecutive championships, Hendrick Motorsports basically treated the chase as its own mini-season. They prepared cars months in advance specifically for those 10 tracks. They studied every detail, every setup, every possible scenario. But here's something really interesting. Even Johnson admits there's uncertainty this time around. The new chase format isn't exactly like the old one. Stage racing is still part of the equation, and that's something Johnson never dealt with during his championship runs. He's been pretty honest about this, saying it exists in a hybrid world he's never experienced. When people ask him for advice on how to approach this format, he's a bit hesitant because the landscape has changed so much. Johnson keeps emphasizing that it's more about winning the war instead of the battle. That's a pretty telling statement. Under the playoff format, every race felt like a battle you had to win or you'd get eliminated. Now, it's back to the long game. You can have a bad race, maybe even 2, but if you're strong for 8 out of 10 races, you're still in great shape. That's a fundamental shift in strategy and mentality. Now let's talk about Ryan Blaney because his perspective adds another layer to this whole discussion. Blaney won his championship under the playoff format just last year. He knows exactly what it's like to navigate elimination rounds and survive that pressure cooker environment. So when he says the chase format just feels right, that means something. Blaney grew up watching the chase. He came into NASCAR during that era, so there's a comfort level there. He's called it cleaner and simpler, and honestly, he's got a point. Try explaining the old playoff format to someone who doesn't follow NASCAR. You'd need a whiteboard, a calculator, and about 20 minutes. The chase? Top 16 drivers after 26 races compete in a 10-race playoff where total points determine the champion. Done. You can explain that in an elevator ride. But what really caught people's attention was Blaney's response when asked about whether we could see Jimmie Johnson level dominance again. Someone could theoretically win 7 championships in a row like Johnson did, right? Blaney didn't dismiss it. He said maybe, and then he explained exactly how it could happen. A team could go on an absolute tear for those 10 weeks, dominating different types of tracks without any trouble. Just execute perfectly for 10 races straight. Think about what Johnson accomplished during the original chase era. He won 60 of his 83 career wins during that 10-year period. He accounted for 24 of Hendrick Motorsport's 32 chase victories. Even in years when he wasn't the most dominant driver during the regular season, like 2010, he had this calculated long game approach that allowed him to erase point deficits. He was just different when the chase started. Blaney recognizes that level of excellence is theoretically possible again, but, and this is a big but, he also acknowledges the massive challenge presented by the next-gen car. The current generation of race cars has created a level of parity we've never seen before in NASCAR. The gap between the best teams and the mid-pack teams has shrunk dramatically. Any team can win on any given weekend if things fall right. That parity makes sustained dominance incredibly difficult. For one organization to control the championship stretch for 2 straight months would be a monumental achievement in today's NASCAR. The cars are too equal, the competition is too tight, and there are too many variables that can derail even the best teams. Blaney stopped short of predicting anyone would actually pull off a Johnson-style run, but he left the door open. If a team manages to overpower the competition for 8 or 9 of those 10 races and locks up the title early, that would prove they're operating at a completely different level. It would be domination in its purest form. Both Johnson and Blaney seem to agree on one fundamental point. This format brings back a sense of legitimacy that had been missing. Under the elimination playoffs, the driver who dominated all season could easily get knocked out by one bad race or one piece of bad luck. Fans watch championships get decided by circumstances that felt random or unfair. Even when the right driver won, it sometimes felt hollow because of how they got there. The chase format doesn't eliminate all the variables, but it gives drivers more room to recover from adversity. Points still reset when the playoff starts, but there are no elimination rounds cutting the field down every 3 races. The regular season points leader gets a 25-point advantage heading into the chase, which is significant but not insurmountable. Race wins now pay 55 points instead of 40, creating a bigger incentive to go for the victory without making it the only thing that matters. For Legacy Motor Club and teams in similar positions, this could genuinely change their approach to the entire season. Instead of feeling like they need to pull off a miracle win just to be relevant in the playoffs, they can build toward being a consistently strong team. That's better for the sport long term because it rewards organizations that do things the right way. Johnson's experience gives him credibility when he talks about this format. He lived it, he mastered it, and he understands what it takes to excel under this system. Blaney represents the current generation of drivers who will actually compete under these new rules. Together, their perspectives paint a picture of cautious optimism mixed with genuine excitement about what's coming. Will we see another driver dominate like Johnson did? Probably not to that extreme level, at least not right away, but will we see more deserving champions who prove themselves over 10 grueling races? Absolutely. And isn't that what we all want? Championships that feel earned, not lucky. Titles that reflect true excellence, not just being hot at the right moment. The 2026 season is going to be fascinating to watch as drivers and teams adjust to this revived format. Johnson's Legacy Motor Club will be trying to prove they can be consistent contenders. Blaney and the other top drivers will be figuring out how to approach these 10 races strategically while still racing hard every week. It's going to be compelling television, and it might just restore some of the prestige that have been lost in recent years. NASCAR made a bold move here, and if Johnson and Blaney's reactions are any indication, they made the right one.